Hey, everybody. It's starting. It's here now, Lauren. There we are. Pearl of Wisdom Show in the house. Yeah. So, Lauren, it's just you and me right now. I've had a long day. I did videos all day for because of all the free agency stuff. I guess the first question off the start is who won? I haven't even had time to really flip through it to really say who won the day for free agency, but I think it's Boston, all depending on how much you like Allmark. Uh, I like Allmark. I think it was a pretty good move. I think $5 million is expensive, but number one goaltenders are hard to find. Uh, for those people that say, never draft a goaltender in the first round, look at what goaltenders are getting, how hard it is to get them. It's not easy to get a number one goaltender. Carolina likes to play games like that. So the whole thing now is with Carolina is Anderson. What's Anderson going to be? I don't know. Like they must have some good information on Anderson and his injuries because he didn't play for a whole year, and when he did play, he didn't look good all year last year. It's been something he's been struggling with for quite some time. And then they go get Ranta, who is like the definition of injury. I don't think Ranta played more than 5 games last year without going on the injured reserve. I don't know what was going on with him, but so I don't know what information they have, but going by past, I don't know what they're doing. You don't think it will be an issue, the injuries? What makes you think that? I still say Bernier was a better goaltender than Anderson. I just can't believe they didn't sign Anderson. It looks like what they were doing is they tried to give Bernier Ranta type money. Hey, everybody that's in here, welcome to the live stream. This is the Pearl of Wisdom Show. We're talking hockey. I still think we'll find out. We'll find out this year because, I mean, Bernier's going to a team with a little better defense, I think, now that they've added a few pieces there. Graves and all of that. So we'll see. Better than Detroit, I mean. But I would have loved to have seen what his numbers would have been if he would have stayed in Carolina. Then Sakic goes out. He loses Grubauer. Darren Helm signed in Colorado. Yep. Yeah, probably play for as a fourth liner there in Colorado. You think just because they got more, I mean, Arizona did block a lot of shots. I don't know if that's the problem. We'll see. Anderson, like I said, we'll just have to see. If God forbid they turn out like they were the last 2 years, Carolina will be in big trouble for sure. And then Grubauer goes to Seattle. I think that could be trouble, honestly. I am not a Grubauer guy. I realize he put up some pretty good numbers there last year behind Colorado's defense. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm not a big Grubauer. I think Kemper will be better. But Kemper struggled with some injuries last year too. And the thing about Kemper is he because he was in Arizona all this time, they probably won't have to pay him $6 million. They'll probably pay him something like $5 million or for yeah, the Avs got Darcy. That was a great pickup, especially after losing Grubauer. And then what did I hear? CL, how you doing, buddy? I'm gonna go down the news here on Jake Bean signed an extension. Oh, Matthew Perreault signs with the Montreal Canadiens. Nice pickup for him. He gets to go home. Matthew Perreault gets picked up by the Canadiens from the Winnipeg Jets. 1 year, $950,000. That is a steal. Nice move. Derek Ryan, yeah, I'm whatever. Like, Derek Ryan, he's whatever. I'm glad Derek Ryan did a lot in his career in the sense that he got a lot out of a very little. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see how he does in Seattle. I don't know. I think he's okay. I think they could be in trouble with that contract. Yeah. Who got the Canes took him? He's barely a defenseman. They did need some size, though. They did need somebody that can drop him every once in a while, but he'll play as a seventh. What did they pay him for? What did they pay him? I like that Perreault signing by Montreal. That was a nice little pickup. $800K? Yeah, it's okay for $800K. Yeah. We'll see how Grubs does in Seattle. I have my suspicions. I think he's going to be like a .910 guy in Seattle. And about a 270, .910. Yeah, that was a good signing. Alex Biega, okay. Yeah, Toronto signed all the AHL players in the land. There's not going to be any players left for the AHL. I'm going to Twitter that. I'm gonna Lemon Sharaf, welcome, man. I'm gonna Twitter right now. There will be no AHL season this year, as the Leafs have signed all the players. I did it. Yeah, they got. I do like Bunting though. They're going after so many ex-Ranger Leaf players. I would imagine they talked to Shea about signing Smith, about bringing Smith in before they decided. For $800,000, I think it's not a bad. It's a pretty good deal. I mean, he can come in and play. He's not going to play a full season probably. He can play when there's injuries. He can play, and for 800,000, he's a decent depth signing for sure. The Leafs are grasping at straws. Yeah, I kind of remember everybody that they signed. Like they signed so many freaking. Like. I got cap friendly here. Let me check it out. Hank Kampf, Bunting, Dennis Malgin, Brett Seney. I thought there was more than that. Hosang, Joshua Hosang, they gave a training camp tryout. Alex Biega, Michael Amadio. Wow. They've got every AHL player there is. There will. But Smith isn't a bad. I think you're gonna actually like D'Angelo. He puts up decent points. He's not the best defensive player for sure. But if you played D'Angelo with Pesci or somebody like that, I think it would be all right, especially for $1 million. And I don't know. They looked into what he said. I guess Brady Shea made a mistake in New York too. I don't know. What they said somebody about Brady Shea, and they were talking about it in an interview. Yeah, I would say D'Angelo has more offense than Hamilton, but not as good defensively. You got analytically, Hamilton's a very good defenseman. I know you hate to hear that, Lauren, but he's a very good defenseman. Some defensemen get burnt to the outside every once in a while and stuff like that, or more often than others, but they do other things to make up for it. John Merrill with the Minnesota Wild. Yeah, that was pretty much league minimum. He's barely an NHLer. He's just happy he got a contract. John Merrill will bounce around all over the league until he goes to Europe, probably. Good. Casey Zizekas is still. I guess he's asking for $5 million. That's what I heard. Who's going to pay him $5 million? Not the Islanders, that's for sure. Arizona sides Hudson Fasching and Michael Ciccone. Hudson Fasching might actually play in the NHL after all. Can't skate with the darn. Well, not NHL level, anyways. Jake Bean. I was just talking about Jake Bean signing an extension. An average of 2.33 for 3 years. I'd say that's a pretty good contract. It's going to be really interesting to see what Jake Bean does there in Carolina. It was funny the other day I said Detroit Red Wings love their Swedes, and then I noticed I think they only have one Swedish player in their lineup. Oh, that was funny. Jake Bean in Columbus. Did I say that? I said that, yeah. Jake Bean signed a 3-year deal in Columbus. It's going to be interesting to see what he looks like in Columbus, that's for sure. Pittsburgh Penguins side Danton Heinen. This is his last chance, I would think. And he got 1.1 million. What is that all about? How does Danton Heinen get $1.1 million? He basically got kicked out of every organization. Boston, he was barely, and then he went to Anaheim, he did nothing. And he still gets a $1.1 million contract. I wish I could do my job really, really, really bad and get paid $1.1 million for it. That'd be friggin' awesome. Athanasiou does sign a one-year contract with the Kings. That could be his last too. But I think Binnington's fine. He's got a bit of an attitude, but I think he's fine. I don't think St. Louis' problem is goaltending. Besides a backup, they could use a backup. I don't think Husso should really. I don't know. We'll see what Husso can be. But, I mean, last year he was pretty man. He's getting up there. But defense is their problem. And getting Sod, like, I don't get these. They're just a grab bag of forwards they're putting together. Getting Sod and Buchnevich. I don't know why. It just doesn't scream playoff team to me, especially with that defense. Krug is good, but he needs to be around certain kind of players, and he's not. And certainly not Falk. Yeah, Tyson Barrie back to Edmonton. I don't know. We're gonna have to. The Oilers are gonna have to win 6-3 every night. They're just gonna have to outscore the crap out of everybody because they don't have any defensive. Like Keith has gone way downhill defensively. Barry's terrible defensively. Nurse is not good defensively. Cody Cece's average at best. Like, who's going to play defense there? The forwards that they picked up. Yeah, inevitable Foligno hat trick. The question now in Boston is, how do they sign Krejci? I think Krejci's going to ask for $6 million for 1 year. And they don't have any cap space at all. They want to trade DeBrusk. They'd have to trade him. At this point, they're not going to get hardly anything for DeBrusk. That 2015 draft is looking so bad for them. My gosh. One of the deepest drafts ever. They have 3 picks in a row, like 12, 13, and 14, I think. Or is it 13, 14, and 15? And they basically get nothing out of it. DeBrusk had a couple years. Sinishin has never even come close hardly to making it into the NHL. And then Zaboral is a fringe defenseman. He's a cheapskate. What do you mean by that? Hoffman to Montreal? Yeah, and I mean, I saw the line that they were putting him on. It might work. The line that they were putting him on. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about Perry, right? Perry goes to Tampa Bay. Okay. Perry goes to Tampa Bay for league minimum for 2 years. He sees Dano go, Weber's out, and he's like, yeah, okay, my work's done here. I'm out of here. Goes to Tampa Bay. Now watch Maroon and Perry on the same team. Holy crap. That's going to be one yappy room, man. And one yappy ice. Yeah. Barzal, I think, told Boston he didn't want to go there. I think he told his agent told them not to select him. because they had Krejci and Bergeron already there. He saw what happened to Sagan, and I think he told his agent he didn't want to go there. So I'm going to give him up for that. Thomas Tatar to the Leafs. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. The Leafs will have all the soft players in the land. They could have had Connor. Besser, nobody took Besser till way late. But Connor is inexcusable because there's no way Connor would not go to Boston. For sure he would have went to Boston. There were several players they could have had there. And they went off the board to get DeBrusk. I guess Zaboral was projected in the spot that they picked him, but I never understood why. He had no offense whatsoever. And he could, like, he was big. That was it. He was an average skater and had no offense. But then they kind of made up for it that year. They got Carlo, who's still a free agent. That's a good one. Let's look at that, buddy. Let's look at who's still a free agent. Let's look that up. That's fun. That sounds like fun stuff. Funny, I don't think Cap Friendly shows it all. They show who's signed, but they don't show. Who's still available. Oh, yeah, they do. Okay, we got Zach Parise. I'm going to have to get you guys up on my phone here. We got Zach Parise, who I keep on hearing New Jersey and the Islanders, but I don't know what's going on there. You got Krejci. You got Krejci, who had 44 points in 51 games last year, by the way. Like, he's getting $6 million. I had some conversations with some Boston guys who think he's going to come in at $4 million. No, he's not going to come in at $4 million. The guy put up 44 points in 51 games. They got to free up $6 million to sign him, and I don't see anybody else out there that they can sign that's going to do what Krejci does. And he had chemistry with Hall. Like, they got to give it to him. If Krejci for some reason doesn't go to Boston, I would look to Columbus. How old is he? He's 35. I'll bet you Columbus signs him for 3 years at $6 million till he's 30, 38. They need a center so bad and somebody to pass the puck to Laine to keep him next year. I wouldn't doubt that they did that. Derek Stepan, he made a crap load of money. Man, oh man. He was making $6.5 million for like the Rangers so overpaid for Stepan, it was crazy. But I don't know where he'll go. He wasn't happy when he went to Ottawa. He's only 31 years old, but he's still a very good defensive center. He might do something odd and stay in Arizona for a few, because he likes it there. He loves it in Arizona. So I think that's where he'll go. Maybe I'll get my Maybe I'll get my window thing open here. You guys can see it too. Are you serious? I gotta do that again. I'm gonna get the window open and we can look at it. There we go. And there we go. You guys can see that all right? Okay, we got Derek Stepan. Where do you think Derek Stepan's going to go? Georgiev requested a trade? Really? I don't blame him, actually. That makes a lot of sense. He wants to be a number one goaltender. I don't blame him. He's stuck behind Shesterkin. Like, what's he going to do there? Shesterkin's going to be the number one. That makes some sense, actually. Craig Anderson signed with the Buffalo Sabres to be a goalie coach. Methinks they're gonna have to get another goaltender or two there in Buffalo. Anyways, I think Stepan will go. He feels like Toronto again. He'd be really good for Buffalo because they need, like, apparently he's just amazing in the room. I think Rask is going to retire. I've been saying that for a while, that I thought he was going to retire. I think he's going to retire. So we got Stepan Backes-Dubinsky, Travis Zajac, probably waiting out to try to be on the Islanders. But I hear they're heavy on Tarasenko on the island. So that, I don't know what that deal is going to look like. But I imagine St. Louis is going to have to retain. I couldn't imagine them taking the full salary. Like, that's going to be an interesting trade. James Neal, I wonder if anybody's going to give him anything. Like, he's really been so bad. Like, all of these just Arizona. Go to Arizona. You can chill out there until you retire. Because they're not going anywhere for at least 5 years, probably. Casey Zizekas apparently wants $5 million. Tatar makes Toronto make sense. Bozak is interesting too. He's coming off a $5 million a year contract. He's 35 years old. He had 17 points in 31 games. He's probably going to get about $2 million to play somewhere. Where though? Toronto, I doubt it. Let me look on my phone. Cap friendly on my phone. I could see Calgary. I could see Calgary. I could see Columbus, maybe, if they really, really, really can't find a center. Uh, looks like Edmonton's got all their centers already. Nashville. Maybe that could be Philadelphia's third line center. It depends on what he wants. I don't know if Philadelphia's got the money to throw him in there. Casey Zizekas to Montreal. They got lots of cap space. Maybe. I hope they wouldn't want to spend $5 million on him though. If that's what he's asking for. I just heard that's what he's asking for. There's not too many places for Bozak to go, I think. Where is he from? I think he's from Toronto, isn't he? He's from Ontario. He could be a good piece for somebody. But I think he might. I think he's disappointed with the price right now. With what people are asking for, or wanting to give him, anyways. That's what I mean to say. Oh, what happened there? There we go. How is Rask going to stay in Boston? Well, he can make that very clear all he wants, but how is he going to stay there? I guess, I don't know. When he comes back, he's going to take a cheap deal. Maybe Rask takes a cheap deal there or something. Trying to find out where Bozak is from. Bozak. Regina. He's from Regina. I said, oh, that's right. I said he was going to go to Edmonton a while back, didn't I? Well, Swayman, they said they're going to keep down in the minors, but I I don't know. I'm confused. Maybe Rask just signs a I don't know. I'm confused. They're going to sign them both to $5 million contracts. Like, I don't see how Rask can play. I think he's going to retire. Well, I think they probably are, but if they are, Parise is not going. Parise could be. I mean, I should say, but they got to find out if they're getting Tarasenko or what that deal is going to look like before they know. Before they can sign Zajac, Palmieri, and whoever, Parise, if they want to. All right, let me figure this out. So, I think Calgary. I think I'm going to say Bozak goes to Calgary. I don't know how much they need a center, third line center though. Monahan, Backlund. They need a center there, but it's really a fourth line center. So, I mean, I don't think he'd make much more than $1 million, $1.2 million, something like that if he went to Calgary. Unless, if he really wants to go to Calgary because he's from Saskatchewan, it's not far away, he could take a cheaper deal because of it. Besides that, you got like, bottom dwellers if he wants to go to any bottom dwellers. Maybe New Jersey might be able to use him. Yeah, but they don't if they get Tarasenko, though, Lauren. Bozak to Vancouver. I think Vancouver's pretty much tapped out, though. I think, well, I'm hearing that they're going hard after Tarasenko. No, not Vancouver either. Bozak could have a hard time finding a home, man. Unless he goes to some bottom dweller teams. Like Detroit or Arizona or maybe Anaheim. I don't think they'd have to give up that much. If they could do a dollar for dollar deal, maybe, I mean, it's all going to depend on how healthy they think he is, right? Maybe they did try to give Bailey away. Let's look at their depth chart. Okay, the Islanders. Bring up the Islanders depth chart, boys and girls. Let's look at that. Get out your pens and... Yeah, I don't know what the moves they made now. I'm not sure O'Reilly's leaving. They got Saad and they got Vichnevich. I mean, they filled out the roster, so... Okay, so let's say you got Anders Lee, Barzal, Bailey. Tarasenko's a winger. Beauvillier, Nelson, Wallstrom. I think it would be Bailey. Because if you're going to sign Palmieri, if you're going to sign Palmieri, Palmieri is what? Palmieri. Palmieri can play right or left. I think he's predominantly a righty, though. So you trade Bailey to St. Louis for Tarasenko. Then you got Tarasenko, Barzal, Lee. You can play Beauvillier with Pajot and Panic. And you can play Palmieri with Nelson and Wallstrom. That's a pretty deep forward group. You got some shooters there. And then I don't see where Parise fits in here. Parise probably would be he'd have to sign for league minimum. But they'd have some depth. They have to also add on their defense? Like right now, Thomas Hickey's going to be on the regular roster. I don't think that's a good thing, is it? Bode Wild isn't ready yet. That's the thing about the Islanders is they don't really have a lot of depth on their roster. Yeah, apparently Vegas gave him an offer and I think I can't remember it was. Sabres asked for Krebs. Hey, well, we're just talking about Eichel. Apparently, I was listening to Sirius Radio, and the Sabres asked for Krebs, Smith, who else? Oh, Nicholas Hag, and a first-round pick, and Vegas said no. That's not much, man. Now, Vegas could be saying no because they don't know how because they don't know about the injury. But if Eichel's okay, if Eichel can come back healthy, man, that would put them in cup. Like they would have to be the cup favorites. That's what I've heard about Eichel. I've said it all the way. I pretty much felt it all the way through that until they have some solid evidence that he's going to be okay after this injury, I don't think a trade's going to happen. I don't think that. What is Calgary going to offer though? Really? Goudreau, I guess they'd have to do Goudreau and stuff like that. The bottom pair for who? CL. But I think Adams is just going to wait it out. And if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. Like, either he's got to play for Buffalo or he can sit out or whatever. I think he's going to wait it out until he can until they know more about his injury. Like, he's not going to play anyways to start the year, right? So there's no hurry. There's no hurry. The only thing that sucks about it is you have the all the media and stuff going on there about what's going to happen with Eichel all the time. But like Joe Sakic did with Duchesne, he just waited and waited and waited and said, I don't care. I got to get what's good for my team, right? I think that's pretty much what he's got to do. I don't know what Calgary would give, like Monahan, Goudreau, maybe. I wouldn't want Monahan. No, they're not good enough, John Weichel. That is for sure. They're not good enough. I was looking at Calgary's roster today because I did a video on the free agents and stuff like that. And I mean, they don't have much depth. They'd have to give Connor Zary for sure. I'm pretty sure. How old's Lindholm? I'd want Elias Lindholm, Connor Zary, Juuso Valimaki in a first, something like that. And I don't know if they'd be willing to give that or not. I mean, they don't have much left on the roster if they do that deal. Dermott's horrible. I don't think Dermott's barely an NHL defenseman. Are you talking about the Leafs CL? Oh, that's very scary. I think Sandin's going to be good, but I mean, you got to take it slow. He's going to be a really good defenseman, but Dermott's terrible. It's not just their bottom pair. It's Justin Holl. Like, they got Muzzin, Riley, and Brody, and that's it. Justin Holl would be a 5-6 on most teams. He wouldn't be a top 4. So it's a pretty bad defense. If they have injuries on their defense, I mean, I think they're screwed. And then they got Mrazek as a goaltender, so I'm sure they can have Monahan. Yeah, I don't want Monahan, thank you. No, thank you. No Monahan for me. I don't want Monahan. I don't think Buffalo wants Monahan. I see what they're doing there in Calgary, though. They're trying to get tougher, surround their forwards with some toughness and some compete. Oh, why am I so tired? Coleman. Bringing Coleman in. I mean, I like Coleman, but is Calgary the right place for him? I don't think so, no. Like, what direction is Calgary going? They don't have a cup contender. They don't even have close to a cup contender there. Bringing in Coleman, does that make you, like, you're borderline, they're a borderline playoff team. I don't know where they're going. I don't know. I don't have a clue. There's no real direction. Hasn't been direction in Calgary for a long time. I would have been trading Goudreau. I would have been trading Monahan and just doing it all over again. Let's wipe off the board and start again. But they want to keep on pounding the same freaking thing over and over again. Sean Patton, how you doing, buddy? We're talking Eichel trades and Peter Mrazek, yeah, well, yeah, he's not a number one goaltender. I mean, he's not really getting paid like a number one goaltender, but he is supposed to be their number one goaltender, and no. What else we got? We got Marcus Johansson. He could go to so many different teams. It's crazy. He's gonna go fill in a hole somewhere for somebody. He always does that. They wait till almost the season starts, and some team will want to fill in their third line center spot or third line winger spot or something like that, and they'll sign Johansson. Who it'll be is like anybody's guess. He usually tries to go to teams that are competitive, though. He's got to be the most bounced around the league guys that there are. But I don't think Eichel's going to go anywhere soon, honestly. I think this Eichel thing will go on through the whole summer. I think he signs back in Washington for $1 million or something like that. He may be contemplating his retirement right now. Every year it gets tougher and tougher once you get up to 44. 44, 45. At 40, you're like, I can take on the world. At 41, you're like, it's a little. And then 42 is like, oh boy, how many? By the time 44 hits, I mean, he's had an amazing career. I would love to see him keep on playing, but he really doesn't skate like he used to. And he never really skated that well to begin with, so. Yeah, I don't think he'll play. I think he'll probably play. Eric Gudbranson is still out there. Who else is still? Oh, shoot. Just 1 second. I got to plug in my computer. I didn't get my. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know if it'll go that long, but medical reports have to come in, and that's it. Like, nobody's going to touch that trade without medical reports. There's no way. I can't see it. But if the medical reports are good, watch out, because they'll bring in a lot then. They will bring in a ton. Who else is still available? We got Eric Stahl. Wonder where if Eric Stahl's going to play another year. He's 37 years old. Phil Peel has got to retire this year. He's like no good anymore. Eric Gustafson. Where's Eric Gustafson going to sign? Probably back in Montreal. He won't make $3 million though, that's for sure. Andre Kasha went back to Europe already. Jake Virtanen, league minimum somewhere. Maybe. I don't even know. Alex Chason's still out there. He'll sign somewhere. Alex Chason sounds like an Arizona pick. Ryan Donato. There's still lots of guys out there to fill out those bottom spots. But they're not going to get paid, man. These guys are not going to get paid. All these guys are like $1 million if you're lucky. Nick Ritchie. Nick Ritchie had a decent year last year. I don't know what's going on with him. He had a decent year last year in Boston, I thought. Yeah, it doesn't sound like people are offering very much for Eichel right now, Sean. Yeah, getting a second round pick for Vanacek is pretty good. I thought that was a really good move. I'm not a big fan of Vanacek. I don't think he's that great. So getting a second round pick for him was pretty fantastic, considering all Carolina got for Nedeljkovic was a third. All they got was a third because they didn't sign Bernier. So I'd say they did pretty good on that one. Yeah, he might sign as a fourth liner somewhere. Some team looking for leadership or whatever. He's pretty slow now. He's pretty slow now. I think it's time to hang up the skates, honestly. Well, they're not going to trade Drigger, no. Drigger's a better goaltender than Vanacek by quite a bit. Vanacek has a lot of holes. He's a backup at best. He's a backup at best. That's all he is. That's why getting a second for him was pretty solid. Colton Scevier's still out there. Wonder if McElhaney will get anything. Probably not, eh? I think McElhaney's finally got to give up the ghost here, I would say. There's still a lot of interesting players out there. As guys get cap room, as teams get cap room, they'll start to sign some of these guys. It depends on who. Yeah, you're a Patton fan, right? Yeah, I'd say they got a good. You're a Seattle fan, right, Patton? So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'd say they did really well getting Vanacek, second for Vanacek. Yeah, Tyler Bertuzzi probably. It sounds like he's going to get traded. So there's a lot of things that It sounds like I think he wants to play in Toronto, but I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do about that because Toronto doesn't have any money to pay him, obviously. Some of the guys we mentioned here for free agents. Let's see. Okay. Casey Zizekas, he wants a lot of money. I don't think he's going to get it on the island. If he wants a lot of money, like he's going to have to settle for someplace like Nashville. I don't know if Ottawa won't pay him that much money. It would only be like Columbus might do it for 2 years or something like that. Calgary would do it. They love those kind of guys in Calgary. They overpay for Zizekas all day long. I don't think Panthers have the money to be at Zizekas. They can't really spend to the cap. I would. Barkov will get $10 million next year. Barkov will get $10 million next year. And that's another reason why Florida couldn't go out and do a stupid contract like that because they got to sign Barkov next year. He will get 10 or more. He's a Selke he's a Selke winning point a game center. He's getting 10 mil for sure. No doubt about it. I'd be blown away if he didn't. For 8 years. Full 8. Like, sign him up. You got to get him signed up. Yeah, I thought about that. I just don't know if Stevie Y is going to want to throw that much money at a guy like... He's smart. So that's... it's a rumor he wants 5 mil. Maybe he goes... If he goes back to the 3.5 mil he was already making, then there's probably a lot of teams that would take him. But at 5 million, I think only Calgary would be stupid enough to do that, honestly. Maybe Buffalo could do it for the character purposes. I'll say Buffalo or Calgary. Now, if you want to play, you can make your 5 million and make your point that players like you are valuable. That's really why guys do that sort of thing. You know, third line guys that can play defensive 2 ways and stuff like that. Bobby Ryan, yeah, that's going to be weird. I think he's going to go into Pittsburgh, New Jersey area, something like that. Buffalo or Calgary for Zizekas is what I think. I think I'm going to turn this off so I can see you guys for a bit. Oh yeah, I got to do doggy anyways. I got to do doggy daycare. It's doggy time. Oh, is this even going to work? Yeah, no, it is doggy time right now. I'm going to do her up right now. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'll talk about the Seattle franchise when I get back and some concerns I may have. Like I mentioned, I could be easily proven wrong about Grubauer, but I have my doubts about how good of a goaltender he is. I said the same about Markstrom when they signed him to $6 million a year, and he's still got a few years to prove. Yeah, I don't think they're in this year. I still don't. Even with the moves they made, well, we'll talk about it when I get back. We got to go doggy time right now. All right, talk to you in a bit.
Greetings. This is Steel Flyers from the Steel Flyers All Sports Network, and we have two very special guests. We are delighted to be joined by Tracy Musser and Nicole Howard from the Canine Country Club Resorts. Tracy and Nicole are both managers for CCC Resorts and work at the Windsor or at the club, one of two locations both in Manheim, Pennsylvania. Congratulations on your 30th year anniversary of being in business. Let me start off by saying this. Steel Flyer stands behind this company 100%. Taking care of Steel Flyer's furry friend for the last 2 years now, and they are a one-stop shop for everything your furry friend needs. In fact, let's find out what our friends at CCC Resorts offer. Nicole, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, thank you. What are some of the great boarding services that you guys offer, and what do we have to do in order to get our furry friends taken care of when we are unable to travel with them?
Well, we like to bring everybody in for a tour first. That way they can see the behind the scenes, they can see where they stay, they can see where they play, and then we explain all of the fun things that we can add on to their reservation, whether it be one of our packages, either a nature walk, a ball time, or even a cuddle time.
Oh, wow, that sounds great. Boy, it sure sounds like a resort to me. So how are you today, Tracy?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Tracy, tell me, is it true that you guys have both an indoor and an outdoor pool at the Windsor location?
It is true. We've got one of each, so we're able to offer year-round swimming. The indoor pool is a great option for dogs who are swimming for therapy or rehab. It's got that sloped entry so they can wade into the water. Our outdoor pool is a little bit larger, and it's 4 foot deep the whole way across. And both of them are saltwater pools, so it's really easy on the dog's skin and coat.
Wow, that's very awesome. So then during the summer months, you have a much deeper pool outside and then a sloped entry shallow pool indoors for the dogs. Tracy, tell the folks how we can get some pool time.
Well, the first thing everyone does is come for an intro swim. We use that time to make sure the dog is comfortable in the water. We make sure they know how to get out of the pool safely, and we go over all the pool rules and etiquette with the clients as well. After that, they're able to schedule private appointments where they have the pool to themselves, or they can invite friends and have a whole group swim going on.
So after a dip in the pool, then it would have to be off to the groomers, right? I mean, our furry friends cannot go out looking their best. Nicole, what are some of the great services your top notch groomers provide?
Our groomers, they specialize in full service grooms. We can do the basics, whether it be just a bath and a brush out or a blowout. Or for the extra pampered pooches, we can do nail dremels, we can do deodorizing soaks, and also facials.
Wow, man, that sounds like a resort if you ask me. Tracy, I know one of the main programs here at CCC Resorts is the WAGS program. The Steel Flyers dog is enrolled in this program. So why don't you tell the folks what is involved in this and how they can get enrolled?
Yeah, the WAGS program is our primary daycare option at the Windsor. It's designed to be a structured program for people who are looking for a set routine for their dog. They all come on the same days each week, which allows them to have set friends, and we know exactly what's going on with each group. So we do a little bit more activities, and we build more into their daily routine there. But we've got other daycare options as well for people looking for a little less commitment. We do an hourly care where you can drop them off and just pay by the hour. We also do a day stay option, which is great for the dogs that prefer human friends instead of making friends with other dogs. And then we have a traditional daycare option as well if you're looking for the occasional outing for your dog.
Wow, there you have it. A full service groomer, a daycare program, and an indoor and outdoor pool. What more could you ask for? Sure seems like CCC Resorts has everything covered. Remember, DOG, depend on God.
Okay, here we are back again. Hello. Well, that's output. I want input. Oh, what's going on? There we go. Can you hear me all right? Okay, I'm back. Okay, well, we'll looking at the Seattle franchise. There we go. I gotta bring it up. One of the reasons why Vegas did as well as they did the year they did is they had very little injuries. That's going to be the biggest thing, I think, is not having injuries. A team like this is going to be so that have so little depth in the roster that it's if they get injuries, they're in big trouble. I'm bringing up Seattle here now. They start off with Schwartz between Wenberg and Eberle. Eberle is like almost assuredly like a 25 goal scorer. He scores like 50 points every year. So Alexander Wenberg hasn't really put it together. He's like a half a point a game player, and Jaden Schwartz had a really bad year last year and has been injury prone. That's the difficult thing. After that, you got McCann, Yarncroc, and Donskoy. That's a decent second line. Especially McCann. I don't know what the heck people don't like about McCann, but they keep on not bringing him back all the time. Carl Yarncroc, yeah, that's a decent second line. Let's put it that way. Donskoy's got a great pair of hands. I would actually probably try him off with Wenberg because Wenberg likes to pass the puck. He doesn't like to shoot it. So I might even go Donskoy, Wenberg, Schwartz, and then Eberle, Yarncroc, McCann. Because Eberle can produce goals all by himself. And Yarncroc isn't what you call a guy that's going to isn't the most creative center in the world. And then Tanev, Geeky, Appleton. That's not too bad. They signed Geeky to a two-way contract, oddly enough. So they're not all that confident he's going to make the roster already. And then True, Bastion, Blackwell. But it's defense is pretty good. Giordano with Larson, Alexiak with Dunn, Susie with Hayden Fleury. That's a pretty good defense, for sure. The problem is when you start getting injuries and you got to start using guys like Dennis Cholowski and William Borgen and Cale Fleury, who have predominantly been AHL players their whole career. Now, on the defense side of things, those aren't too bad. As long as you don't have too many injuries, there's only one of them in the lineup, it's okay. But on the forward side of things, you also got Jeremy Lauzon, too. Jeremy Lauzon. So defense is pretty good. But my forwards, they're screwed. You got Cole Lynn and Carson Towinski. That's it. Now, I'm pretty sure they're going to pick some guys off waivers and stuff like that to try to make sure that they have some bodies they can fill in on the lineup. But if injuries go down with Seattle, they are in big, big trouble. And it was kind of the same way with Vegas. They just didn't get injured. They were very fortunate that way. They never got injured. Yeah, when Gord comes back, it'll help out. But I think Gord is a guy that they're going to want to keep for sure. Right now, I think everybody they're going to keep. Now, if they're right out of it, they can start trading guys like Yarncroc and Donskoy and all that stuff like that, and then they can add free agents next year if they're out of the playoffs, which I think would be the best thing that could happen to them. I think the best thing that could happen to them is they're out of the playoffs. Like, even now that they have Grubauer, for one thing, Grubauer has had a habit of getting injured every year. So they can hold out with Drager, but then what do they have after that? Like, Joey DeCord. That's it. Yeah, if they stay healthy, they could be in the playoff hunt. But if they don't, it's not going to work. It's not going to look good for Seattle, I don't think. No. Definitely don't bring up Beniers now and play him early. You give him one full year in college, I would say, before you even think about playing him in the NHL. But I mean, you never know, because he played in the World Juniors when nobody expected him to, too. Lauren, are you still there, buddy? Who's still with us here? And they're going to keep it that way. I don't think they're going to spend to the cap, Sean. I could be wrong about that, but I think Rob Francis is going to keep his cap to sign younger players, the players as they need to be signed. That would be the smart thing to do. That's what Stevie Y is doing in Detroit. He never gets anywhere. He basically plays at the cap floor. He has a team on the cap floor. Hey, CO, how you doing? Back? Right on. Basically, Stevie Yzerman keeps everything on the cap floor. And as his young players are ready to get paid, then they'll pay him. Joe Sakic did a similar thing, too. Playing Be a Pro? Okay. Well, that's good, as long as you're having fun. So that's what I'm thinking on the Seattle franchise. Now, that being said, the Vegas franchise, I don't think I had them making the playoffs either. And you never know. Seattle could have, like, they caught Carlson. Carlson became a number 1 center. He was a number 4 center in Columbus. They really were just a damn good judge of talent there. Marchessault came over. He had a solid year in Florida. And then Smith. That was a weird deal. In order to not take... I can't remember who it was that they didn't want them to take. It was a defenseman. But in order for them not to take it, they gave up those 2 players. But really, they were trying to make cap space to go get Dadonov. Like, Vegas just caught a lot of things at the right time. And they stayed healthy. That was the biggest thing. They were able to stay healthy. Drafted. Is that in Be a Pro? You were drafted 2nd overall by the Kings? Yeah, I really think that, though, that they're not... Like, they signed guys like Schwartz. I'm concerned about Schwartz. Schwartz has, last 2 or 3 years, he's been injured a lot. Grubauer, injured a lot. You hope that that they're over that, but we'll see. But Schwartz is the kind of guy that you want to have in your room for people to see what a warrior is. He is a warrior, and like he plays with everything he's got all the time. He's the kind of guy that you want your younger players to be like that. So he's sort of the poster boy for the franchise, I would say. That's why you get a guy like that. And then Grubauer, I've said before, I brought it up before that even if you're not going to be a great team, you got to have a good goaltender. It's pretty much impossible to teach a system to young players without having a good goaltender. So. Vegas will be the best. Oh, really? A lot of Californians are moving to Vegas? I want to move to Vegas, by the way. I want to live in Vegas and in the winter and in the mountains here in Alberta in the summer. That's what I want. Yeah. I'm really going to be interested to see what Michael Bunting does. Michael Bunting plays a lot like Zach Hyman. I don't know if he's going to put up the same kind of numbers, but you may be surprised. I thought that was a slick little move by Toronto, picking up Bunting. Going on. Yeah, I'd be playing him on the first line. They're trying Bunting as a poor man's Hyman, and that's going to be really interesting to see how he does. That guy's a scrappy dude, man. In Arizona, every time I watched Arizona, and yeah, that's how much of a hockey nerd I am. I watched a lot of Arizona last year. Every time I saw it, okay, Sean, thanks for coming in, buddy. You're a rock. Every time I saw Bunting play, I was like, this guy can play, man. I was hoping again that the Edmonton Oilers would pick him up, but no. I think he could surprise there. I think Comp was a pretty good pickup too. He doesn't provide much offense though, but he's a good defensive center. He plays really good defensively. So they're probably going to play him on the third line. He played the third line in Chicago and he did pretty well. Not a bad deal. Not a bad player to have on your team for a cheap price. Like I said, I think they picked up some pretty good bargains, and it could work out. It could. I mean, I wouldn't bet a crap load of money on it, but it could work out. Toronto again, like if there's certain teams that can't handle any injuries at all, and Toronto's one of them. If Toronto has a rash of injuries, they could be done. Especially with their goaltending situation there. It's a really risky team. I don't know, dude. That's a good question. What happens if it doesn't work out in Toronto? They'll have a little more cap space. The cap probably will go up next year, thank God for them. But that is, I don't know. I really, you can't trade Tavares unless he wants to go. That would be the best guy to trade, would be Tavares if you could. But man, after everything they did to bring him in, the right to suck teams. Yeah, but San Jose doesn't look at it that way, but you're probably right. Arizona is going to be pathetic. Columbus, I don't think they'll be as, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what that new manager does there, but I can't see Columbus making the playoffs, that's for sure. Calgary will definitely, well, I think for sure will miss the playoffs. Something tells me there's somebody missing there. Probably be gone. The only way Dubas is not gone is if, you know, when they consider that COVID hit and all of that kind of stuff like that. But what's a new GM going to do with this roster anyways? I mean, the only thing you can do is you got to start trading for depth, right? You got to start trading for depth. So, you know, I think Nylander's going to have a crazy good year this year. I think, you know, Marner and Tavares and all those guys like that, I think they'll make the playoffs. And then when they get halfway through the season, maybe they can add stuff, because halfway through the season they'll actually have cap space, the trade deadline, and they could do something there. But I don't think you'd have to do a massive rebuild. I think you just have to trade one player at the right time to get a lot back. I still say, back when I was saying, before they signed Marner, I was saying trade him, and they could have got a boatload for him. And this team probably would look a lot better than they do now. Which is really crazy, because Marner is one of the best wingers in the league. But I don't see, I guess if you got a new general manager, you could trade Tavares, I suppose. But you got to be really careful what you do to a guy like that after you practically begged, borrowed, and stole him there. Tavares would be the guy for sure. If you could find a way to trade Tavares. And there would be teams that would want him. You get a pretty good, even at $11 million a year, there's going to be teams out there that need a number one center for sure. So, I mean, you'd have to bring bodies back, but you'd want to bring bodies back. So it wouldn't be too bad, because you're trying to build depth, right? That would be interesting. Who would want Tavares at the end of the year? Who would want Tavares? Minnesota. Right now, though, why would you? You know, you got to wait for Eichel to be traded first. Because if Eichel is fully healthy, he's only making $10 million a year. And he's younger and probably better at this time than Tavares is. Yeah, Marner would be the tougher trade right now in his contract. Not because he isn't awesome, but because he's a winger. But on the same note, you'd only need wingers back. So, Zach Werenski on the trade block, I should hope not. Jeez. Gosh, would he bring a ton back, but that would be terrible. I hope he hasn't asked to be traded out of Columbus. I haven't heard anything about that until you just brought it up. Who would trade for Tavares? That's interesting stuff. You could. How old's Tavares again? Tavares. How old is Tavares? Toronto. Toronto. Tavares is 30. He's only 30 years old. He's making $11 million till 2025. That's a tradable contract. That is a tradable contract. It would have to go to some team with a lot of wingers that want to win now. I know Vegas would probably be in there like a dirty shirt. Trade him back to the Islanders. Montreal would probably be in there. Maybe Detroit Red Wings would decide to start being good. I think Colorado Avalanche possibly. They would get, I'd have to look at like the wingers that you could get back for it, but you get Smith, Peyton Krebs, and a first or something like that. John Tavares is good enough. Somebody's going to pay. He's the number one center. If John Tavares was on Vegas right now, they'd be definitely probably the most the best Stanley Cup contender. They would be top rated Stanley Cup contender for sure. Yeah, if Toronto goes completely south, and I could see it happening. I could see them miss the playoffs. I could see it. I could see the Toronto Maple Leafs missing the playoffs next year. If Montreal has a better year than you expect, Ottawa's pushing hard right now. More than likely they get in from what I remember seeing there. But if some team catches, there's always those surprise teams. Why you say what? Boston go after Barkov? Boston go after Barkov. They'd have to try to, I don't know what they would do. I guess if he goes to free agency, I have a feeling Florida's going to sign him up, though. I think he likes it there now, especially with the way they change things up there. I think they'll like it there. I think he'll like it there. I think so, too. I think Hayes will be better this year. The interesting thing is going to be, is Atkinson going to be able to rebound this year? That'll be the interesting thing. But everybody had down years in Columbus the last 2 years, really. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, if they have injuries, they're in trouble right off the get-go. Second of all, I'm not a Mrazek fan. Mrazek put up good numbers in Carolina, but Carolina plays a much better defensive system than Toronto. He didn't even put great numbers up in Carolina. I think they're in big trouble in goal. Campbell went on a good 10-game run there, but I think it's very possible that Toronto could miss the playoffs. They don't have the greatest defense, and they have Mrazek in net. I would have taken Bernier over Mrazek any day. I don't know if they talked to him or not, but I don't know. Maybe he was there before. Maybe he didn't want to play in that type of atmosphere again. Mrazek is bad. Mrazek is a bad goaltender. Even if they do make the playoffs, they're not winning with Mrazek. They're just not. That combo of Mrazek and Campbell, like, as far as I'm concerned, if I were to make a bet, I would say that there's no way Toronto wins a cup for the next 4 or 5 years unless they get a goaltender and they don't that better than Mrazek or Campbell. I know that hurts you to your soul, John, and they could make it. Those top guys, they got enough offense there that they can outscore their opponents for sure. They still have Muzzin. You know, they have a pretty good top three, but after that it goes south pretty quick. I feel sorry for Leafs fans. Yeah, they always screw up something. Doesn't matter how they try to build it or what they try to do. They always mess up something there. What about? I wonder if I could do what surprise teams. I know there's still a lot of stuff to go over the summer, but where was that at? I had it here. Yeah, okay. So they're going to play. You got Tampa's going to make it for sure. Florida's going to make it pretty much for sure. And Boston's going to make it pretty much for sure. Then it's between Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit, and Buffalo. Now Toronto should make that. Should be able to beat those guys. But Ottawa is the one that scares me a bit. Ottawa's the one that scares me. But even if they do make it, they're then going to have to play Boston, Florida, or Tampa. Can you honestly tell me that Toronto stacks up against Tampa at all? Second round pick yet. You got a second round pick out of that. That was pretty sweet. Yeah, get a second round pick out of it. Philly for you, what about it? In that division, how's Philly going to do? Is this year finally the year that Pittsburgh doesn't make the playoffs? Like, on paper, they shouldn't make the playoffs. Are they going to finally do it? Carolina, Philadelphia, Rangers. Does Washington miss this year? Carolina. Wow, that's tight, man. That is one tight division. New Jersey's going to be a lot better this year. Columbus is way out of it, I would have to think. Is this the year Pittsburgh finally misses? It all comes down to Carter Hart, man. I can't really do... That's such a weird division. Philadelphia is so weird because even with all the moves they made and everything they did, if Carter Hart isn't good, then it don't matter. It all comes down to Carter Hart. I still think Washington can make it. Philadelphia can certainly make it if Carter Hart, if it's all about Carter Hart. It's all about Carter Hart. Like some teams, it's always about goaltending, but some teams more than others, especially after you have a Carter Hart play like he did last year. You don't think Carter Hart's going to be good next year? That's really what it comes down to. I think Carter. I hate to tell you this, but Carolina's goaltending is questionable. If Carolina, if those guys get injured and Bernier does what I think he could do in New Jersey, Carolina's going to look really, really bad. And I think it's possible that they could look really, really bad. I hope not. I hope Anderson is good, but I think Philly should be in there. Like I said, that's a tough division. The Islanders probably got to have them in for sure. I like last year. I said no way Pittsburgh. This year I got to go no way Pittsburgh. Yeah, they did, and he's injured all year last year. I don't know if he's going to be okay, and he was injured 2 years before that too. So Leafs could end up looking could go a lot of different directions with the Leafs. Samsonov and Vanacek is a question. I have to admit, if it was me, I would have. If I like, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if they had the option, but if they could have got Fleury somehow, that would have been their really only chance. But I think they could still make the playoffs. They've got still tons of talent on that team. The Rangers, I mean, if Shesterkin's good, their defense is young still. They're still pretty green. Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh. That's the freaking problem with Pittsburgh is they shouldn't. How does a team with Christian Jarry as a goaltender make the playoffs? Like, not in a million years should that team make the playoffs. New Jersey could be a little bit scary if Carolina's good as long as the goaltending holds up. So I'm going to say Philadelphia, Islanders, Carolina. Who am I missing here? In either Washington or the Rangers. That's what I would say there so far. Hey, Steele, how you doing, buddy? We're talking about if the Flyers are going to make the playoffs next year. Funny you just came in on that. We don't know. It's borderline. Probably. But mostly because it's just weak. But then, Ottawa played pretty stellar last year. I could see Ottawa taking them. And it's Mrazek, man. Goaltending could kill him. Goaltending could make it so they don't make it. And then they've got a lot of guys there that are iffy players to play on the bottom lines. Like, I don't know. They can outscore most teams for sure. Nylander, Marner, Tavares, and who am I missing? Nylander, Marner, and Matthews. Those 4 guys are the team. And then, of course, Riley. Yeah, I just tweeted out that there's going to be no AHL season next year because the Maple Leafs have all the players. So Bunting is good. I think Bunting could end up being good, but he's small, man. And he plays really physical. Yeah, he played well in like 21 games last year for Arizona, but can he do it for a full 82? Like, he's a pretty small dude. No, Mrazek is not the answer. Although I might have rather had him than Jones. So there's that. Canucks signed. Who did they sign? He's very streaky because he overcommits, and he has his whole career, and he doesn't seem like it's ever going to stop happening. Like it doesn't seem like he's ever going to stop overcommitting. We're going to be talking about this a lot because there's going to be so many changes in the lineups. My surprise team for next year. Look at, you got Chicago that got all those. Chicago, Colorado, the Central Division. Chicago, Colorado, probably Minnesota. And Dallas. What about Winnipeg? I think Dallas. I don't think Dallas makes it next year. Injury problems again. I think it's going to be Winnipeg. Winnipeg, Colorado. Just imagine if Chicago doesn't make the playoffs after everything they did. And we don't even know if Fleury's going to play yet. That's it. Fleury was pissed when he got traded there. Hey, Whitechoo. Kraken's not going to make it next year. I don't think Kraken's going to make it. If not Jones, then who? I don't know. It's almost like... I don't know. It's almost like you might as well not get anybody, really. Wait until somebody falls off the tree. Like, that's how highly I think of Jones. And what did we pay him? $2 million? I think we could have found a goaltender like Wedgwood or something like that. For like, at least we wouldn't use cap space. Jones has put like they think they're going to be able to do things to help him. He's had like 3 goalie coaches in San Jose, one of them being Nabokov, who seemed to help everybody but Jones. Jones was the only goaltender Nabokov didn't make better. I think what Coronar that went to Arizona would have been all right. Freaking Anderson, maybe. They could have got Anderson for $750,000. I know he's 40 years old, but he's a great guy, and he probably would help Carter Hart quite a bit. They could have had 2 $750,000 goaltenders, and whichever one beats the other one out as the backup. Because you were like we were talking, they need a veteran that's going to push Carter Hart. Jones isn't pushing Carter Hart. The only thing that's good about Jones, it might make Carter Hart feel like he's good. Might give him confidence. I don't care how younger he is. He's terrible. You wait. Just like everything I said about Gustafsson last year, I'll say about Jones this year. They're going to have, just like last year with Gustafsson, their AV would have to, or a goaltending coach is going to have to be able to find something in Jones that nobody else has found in him for like 8 years. Or whatever it is, however long he's been in San Jose. All the goalie coaches they've had, everything they've done, the guy has never been good for the whole time he's been there. The numbers he put up in San Jose, to me, isn't worth more than $1 million for 1 year. And I don't even know about that. Like, as you can tell, I'm pretty low on Jones. When Nabokov can't help you, I don't think anybody can help you. Yeah, I mean, it all comes down, it's not going to matter if Carter Hart is good. It's not going to matter. If Carter Hart is as good as Carter Hart can be, the fact that Jones is a poopty backup probably won't matter all that much. They'll be so far ahead in the standings that they'll be fine. It really, that's all it comes down to. All the movement that they did, everything that they did, it's all good. But if he's not good, they're in trouble. Yeah. Now, having a guy like Ellis there, that's going to help things out a bit. He's a freaking amazing defenseman, man. As much as I love Provorov is not our best defenseman right now. Ellis is our best defenseman right now. Philadelphia's best defenseman is Ellis. Nate Thompson? I don't think Nate Thompson probably, Nate who? Eric Gudbranson to the Leafs, that'd be a perfect spot. The Oilers might as well sign Gudbranson since they're collecting Nate Thompson. I don't think Nate Thompson's going to play much. I don't know if you watched him play last year at Winnipeg, but he probably won't play all that much. Eric Gudbranson to I might as well go to the Oilers. Oilers are collecting D-men that can't play defense, so they might as well take him too. I'm surprised they didn't get Yandel. Yeah, it does take huge pressure off of Provy. What I'm going to be interested to see is how they can simplify Ristolainen's game. That's all they need to do is just tell him, don't worry about, you don't have to do everything. We just want you to play strong defense, get some hits, playing some 5-6 pair, have his big shot on the power play, but you don't need to run it up. We don't want you running up with the play, all that right now. Just play simple defense first, because that guy is all over the freaking place, man. Ristolainen is like... Ristolainen last year when I was watching Buffalo, he was caught in the opposition's corner while the play was in his end of the ice more than one time. Well, yeah, Braun's probably not going to play as much. I think he'll still play, though. And who is effective in Philly? Yeah, he was when he was there, but I mean, you got to remember, Nate Thompson's every year, it's less and less for guys like Nate Thompson. Every year it gets, like last year in Winnipeg, I mean, he's a gamer. He tries as hard as he can, and he's great in the room and all, but I mean, that year we were playing him third line center. Oh my gosh, no. Yeah, Bronson was a bad defender. But I don't know if they find the magic with Jones, but I don't even care, honestly. As long as Carter Hart is good, it's all right in the world. Everything will be all right. 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 Well, that was that division. I don't think we have too much. We don't have too much time, so. Look at the Pacific. Edmonton, hopefully. Honestly, I'm not even that confident about Edmonton making the playoffs this year. LA, probable. Vegas for sure. Vancouver likely because of Demko more than anything. And then it'll be between Seattle and San Jose. Seattle could scrape in. I just think that injuries are going to be really tough on that team. No. Fast, Smith, Shea, D'Angelo. That's weird, eh? I think that's simply because they went out and got Shea. And Shea's a pretty social dude. And he knows all of them. So, like, when they picked up D'Angelo, they had Shea there and Fost. And they both said, look, I don't know what happened with D'Angelo, but he was a good guy when we were there. We never had a problem with him. All that stuff like that. So, you know, it kind of goes... It's kind of the way it is. Like Brady Shea is there, and then Fast is available, and they're friends with each other. So Shea goes to management and goes like, hey, Fast wants to come here. He's a really great guy. He'll like it here in Carolina. You know, why don't you bring him in? And they're like, okay, sure. They like to build a family atmosphere. And then same as D'Angelo, and probably the same as Smith. Those guys all like each other, so. But we got ourselves the 50 playbacks, boys and girls. That's not bad. I'm going to be on tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 3. And then we got a long weekend. I don't know. Monday I should be on it. We'll see. But I'm going to let you go now. That's our full 42 for tonight. It's all going to be interesting. This is going to be so interesting this summer. I can't wait to see how it all pans out. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Lots of love to you. Okay. Bye.